Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's latest, and today we're going to talk about the game that happened today between the Cubs, where we ended up falling 9-2. Drew Rasmussen scratched from the start due to his wife due to give birth today, which kind of led into my first main topic that I want to talk about with Mason Englert. Kind of getting that spot start. Only expected to go a few innings, kind of stretch it out a little bit, save the bullpen as much as they can. But Rasmussen did get his start scratched, so Engler kind of had to step in there for him. And so ideally, the situation was supposed to go Englert for like 2 to 3, and then kind of fuzzle into the pen from there. He ended up going 3 and 2/3, but kind of the way that the game transpired, he only threw 65 pitches, threw 48 strikes, which is pretty good numbers there. But he gave up 7 hits, gave up 3 earned, and walked one, and only struck out two. And I caught bits and pieces of the game. I didn't think that his stuff was too crazy, and I I don't think that he looked too poor. And in his first outings against Minnesota, he went 1 inning, didn't give up any runs. Against Milwaukee, went 1 inning as well, gave up 2 hits and 1 earned. And then Seattle, in his first game, he went 1 inning with 3 hits and 3 earned. Before today, his ERA was a 9.45. It still stands at a 9.45. So the it's interesting kind of where he's at, because the outings just kind of haven't compounded with each other to be any good and show a lot of promise, I would say. And I think that given the lack of bullpen depth that we have at the moment, I think that him getting this kind of spot start so-ish of just kind of extended innings, I think it was a great opportunity for him to kind of bounce back and get back on track from where he should be compared to his previous outings this season. We didn't really see that. We kind of got arguably some of his worst that we've seen this season. And so I think that this is kind of where Kevin Cash needs to find guys, and I get it. Rasmussen, it was a late scratch. They didn't have time to bring up a guy from AAA. We didn't have too much too many choices at the moment. We kind of just had to work from in-house and kind of go from there. And obviously you can't pull up a guy a day from a start. You can't do that, especially this early in the season. There's no point. It's because at the end of the day, it's one game. Does it matter? Yes, but to a certain extent, it really does not matter to what it could equate to if you start messing around with things like that. So I think that the move was the right move. I don't know if Englert was the right choice. I think that he arguably does have the most starting experience in long pitching depth, kind of just going at depth into games out of probably everybody in our bullpen. So I think that was probably the more thoughtful choice of this, of why they would go there. But I do think that the outing that we saw from him today was a little questionable, and I am curious to kind of see how Cash deals with him throughout the remainder of the season, and if we see any options and things of that nature to kind of just get a fresh arm in the pen due to what he's done, and especially with him going 3 and 2/3 today and throwing 65 pitches, I wouldn't be surprised to see an option if he has any remaining. I haven't checked, which I'm assuming he does, and kind of just playing with him. Going to obviously have a couple off days here in the near future just to get an extra arm in the pen. But the next thing I'm going to talk about, Andres Gomez did have a kind of bad outing today as well. Went 3 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned, gave up a home, or gave up 2 homers, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. He's kind of been that guy for us this year where he kind of comes in those crap situations towards the end of the games. Like in all 4 games that he's pitched in this year, we've lost. His first outing was obviously opening day. He came in through 2 innings, 2 hits, no earned. The Milwaukee game that he came into, we were down 6-2, gave up or went 2 innings, gave up 1 earned and a homer with a walk. And then in the Minnesota series, he did come into the game that we lost 10-4 through 1 2/3, gave up a hit, gave up a homer. So he's given up 4 home runs already this season. He's thrown 7 innings, given up 4 homers. His ERA sits at about a 6.2. The only thing that's really hurting him is the long ball. And he's obviously done a good job at kind of eating these innings, and his outings really haven't necessarily affected the team too much. I mean, obviously, giving up 4 runs today, if he doesn't give up those 4 runs, it's 5-2. That ninth inning might get a little more interesting. You get 2 runners on, you have the game tying run at the plate, things of that nature. Obviously, baseball, you can't pick and choose, and there's a lot of things that just go in circles and happen. But I do think that he's kind of fitting into the role that he's supposed to do fairly well, which is the we're getting the crap beat out of us. I need you to go in there and eat innings. But he is giving up damage while he's doing it. I mean, that's at 4 homers. I mean, I haven't looked, but that might lead Major League Baseball in so far this season for pitchers giving up home runs. I mean, four home runs in 7 innings is a lot. And over the course of a season, I mean, you see relievers, they'll probably average anywhere between 50 to 70 innings. If you keep that on pace, if he throws 70 innings, he's given up 40 homers, which obviously those numbers very short select few numbers that you get to choose from there. But trends do happen in every single game that he's pitched in so far, except for one, he has given up a homer. And so you start to question, is the long ball just a threat for him? Is his stuff just not playing well enough? Is just the situation he's coming into, maybe just from a mentality standpoint, just not it for him? But it is interesting to kind of see how if he changes things, if there's a different approach, things of that nature, with giving up so many long balls. I am curious to see kind of how he adjusts to that and how he does in the future. But last thing I want to talk about the game today, we did lose 9-2 to the Cubs. Aranda had an RBI, which is his 10th of the season. He also hit a double, which is his third. Velati also had an RBI. Fortes grounded into double play today. I'm not necessarily too concerned with him. He has been in a little bit of a cold streak the past couple games. His batting average is down to 303 though, which means that he started off very hot. Yandy's average is down to 386. He went 0 for 3 today. Aranda went 2 for 4. Fraley went 0 for 2, but Velati came in off the bench, got a hit in his 2 at-bats. Caminero went 0 for 3 as well with 2 strikeouts. Simpson, he's always going to do Chandler Simpson things. He went 2 for 4 today as well. Cedric Mullins went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Palacios went 1 for 3 with a strikeout, and Taylor Walls went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. So the lineup's not necessarily struggling too much. We did hit 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position today, which is just it's just not going to play. And in Aranda's lone bat, he did have or lone at bat with runners in scoring position, he did get a hit there. Fortes made a throwing error today. So it's not necessarily we the thing is what I'm seeing here, just looking at the box score, is we had 6 hits today. And I think our lineup is way better than that. And obviously it's baseball. You have cold days. Pitching matchup might not necessarily be there for what you're looking for and things of that nature. But the Cubs had 16 hits today in 9 innings. And they scored 9 runs off of those hits. And it's just not the consistency with this team is just not there. You end up winning to get your record back to 500. You're 5-5. You're coming off a great opening day home opening win, and then it's just straight from the jump. You get jumped real quick, and it just was not good. And I think the pitching staff has a lot to do with that. And obviously, you throw Cole Sulser, Yandris Gomez, and Mason Engler. you're not throwing your main guys out there. And obviously, by design, when you're down so much, Gomez coming in as that guy who's kind of fit that role of we're getting, like I said, we're getting the crap beat out of us. I got to come in and eat innings, and which is kind of what Kevin Cash just did for him. I mean, you're down 7-2 going into the eighth inning, and it's okay, dude. No matter what you're finishing this inning, it does not matter unless it just completely spirals out of control. But I do not want to waste another arm. That's kind of where he's fitting in, so that's kind of I can see the runs. It could the game finish 6-2, 7-2? Sure. But if the hitters just aren't getting you consistency, which is what I'm not seeing consistency out of anybody, which I think is going to be the biggest problem for this team down the road. And I think that just getting into any type of consistency from a lineup perspective and from a bullpen perspective, especially, I'm not worried about the starters. I think the starters are doing just fine. Nick Martinez and Steven Matz are the only two real question marks that I've kind of had, and they both performed fairly well for me. Nick Martinez has looked great. I think Steven Matz has looked, or I think actually, I think Shane McClanahan has looked the worst out of everybody, but he's dealing with his own battles. So I think that that's kind of just a small sample size, and he's obviously Shane McClanahan, so he's going to fix things and kind of just work on the control, and he's going to pitch better. I truly believe that. But I think just from everybody else's perspective, the consistency is horrible, and we just need to fix things from that standpoint. And I do think that this lineup, with the amount of pitchers that we have that can suffice by any means, I think can get the job done at a fairly easy rate. But you guys let me know what you guys think about kind of how you thought the game went today and what you think about Englert and Gomez, especially out of the pin and kind of showing what they've done and giving up the majority of the runs today, as well as what you think about the consistency issues that I've talked about, especially with the lineup and the bullpen. But you guys have a good one.